In 1980, the average full-time salary in the UK was about £6,474 a year, giving roughly £5,000 after tax and a take-home income of around £417 a month. In 2025, the median full-time salary is about £39,000, with take-home pay of roughly £31,000 a year or around $2,500. On paper, that looks like huge progress. Wages appear to have risen about 6 times. But once you compare those wages to the actual cost of living, the picture flips completely. Housing is the most dramatic example. The average house in 1980 cost around £23,300, which was only about 3.6 times the average salary. Today, the average house costs about £273,000, which is roughly 7 times the median salary. House prices rose almost 12-fold while wages rose only 6-fold, making homes roughly twice as expensive in income terms. A single worker in 1980 could realistically buy a house on an ordinary wage. A single worker in 2025 is effectively priced out unless they have a second income, inheritance, or are willing to take on a massive mortgage. Rent has shifted even more brutally. In 1980, the average council rent in England was about £7.70 a week, roughly £33 a month, which took only about 8% of a typical worker's take-home pay. By 2025, the average private rent across the UK is about £1,350 a month, and even outside London it stays above £1,100. For a worker taking home around £2,580 a month, rent now consumes around half of their entire income. The shift from rent being a small, manageable expense to becoming the single largest and most crushing financial burden is one of the biggest changes in living standards over the last 45 years. Energy prices have also outpaced wages. Domestic electricity cost around 4p per kilowatt-hour in 1980. Today, the average unit price is about 26 to 27p per kilowatt-hour under the national price cap. That's an increase of more than 6 times, slightly above wage growth, meaning electricity is less affordable today for the average worker even after adjusting for income. Petrol shows one of the few exceptions. It cost around 8p per litre in 1980 and is about £1.35 per litre today. That's an increase of just under 5 times, meaning petrol is slightly more affordable relative to wages now than it was then. But this single improvement does nothing to offset the massive increases in housing, rent, cars, and energy. Car ownership is another area where affordability has collapsed. In 1980, a typical new car such as a Mini or Escort cost around £2,500 to £4,000, so using roughly £3,000 as an average is reasonable. Today, the average new car costs around £40,000, according to industry reports. That's a price rise of more than 13 times against wages that only rose 6 times. In practical terms, new cars are now more than twice as expensive relative to income as they were in 1980. Insurance has also risen sharply, with the average premium in 2025 around £550, though precise 1980 insurance data is hard to find publicly. When you put all the numbers together, the pattern is impossible to ignore. Wages rose roughly 6-fold between 1980 and 2025, but house prices rose more than 11-fold, new cars around 13-fold, rents 20 times plus depending on region, and electricity around 6 to 7 times. The essentials of life, housing, rent, energy, transport, have grown far faster than pay. The result is that someone earning today's median wage has far less real purchasing power over the basics than someone earning the average wage in 1980. The headline wage figure looks higher, but the lived reality is clearly worse, because the cost of simply existing has outpaced income for decades and shows no sign of reversing.